And welcome to Tale of the Tape. It's your boy, Craig, with my co-host,
Michael Johnson.
And we're here for another week of MMA. And before we jump into that, I want to give a quick shout out to the Boston Bruins. We're in the Stanley Cup, going up against St. Louis. It's basically like a number two against them. You know, the famous Bobby Orr goal where he, you know, Superman dives in front of the net after scoring the game winner, sweeping him in 4. And I would like a nice little repeat, sweep him in 4.
It would be nice to get a sweep. I don't know. It'll be a little tough maybe, but I think we'll get it for sure.
Exactly. They got some big boys on that team, man.
It's really exciting. Yeah, but I think we're too fast.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's one thing I know we noticed watching the game is that our games, the tempo was a lot faster and a lot more hitting than it was in the San Jose St. Louis game. Those guys seemed like they were moving at a very slow pace.
But they do play like perfect offense with their passing and stuff. So
they do have really good passing.
It'll be tough, but it'll be nice to see 3 championships in one season.
Oh man,
3 different sports.
Yeah, 3 different sports. The Celtics kind of blew it for us on that one. You know, we could have been looking at 2 more possible championships. Hopefully, looking at 4. But I'll take the 3 if the Bruins can pull this one off.
With an added decent playoff run by the Celtics, anyways.
Yes,
you know,
it was
nothing away from them.
So. They did go deep, and they did lose to the number 1 team in the conference. So that is saying a whole lot for that team that, you know, with some young guys able to take it that far, with a team that was, you know, not necessarily gelling. So hats off to the Celtics. But I'm looking forward to a Bruins Stanley Cup. Win or lose, it's going to be awesome that they're in there. I got to rock my Bruins gear in honor of that. Next, I do want to bring up a little bit of, you know, Lynn news, being as that's where we're from. We have a Lynn native who is going to be fighting in a boxing promotion. And since this is combat sports, we might as well just give a little shout out. Curly TNT Todd will be fighting in the Worcester Palladium, and he'll be facing in the co-main event Ray Oliveira Jr. The door is open at 6 p.m. and the fights start at 7. And they're the co-main event, so that's obviously big news. I'm hearing that a couple of the fighters on this card are champs. Okay. So this could be a really good event. And if you are a boxing fan, and if you want to represent Lynn, get yourself out to the Worcester Palladium, and that is June 14th. So I think that might be a good event.
Look out for that, and good luck to Todd for sure, man.
Absolutely, man.
We
give you our best
support for you here, that's for sure.
So look out for that event and show your support, whether it be you know, watching the fight later on or attending the fight yourself. But with that being said, it's time to get into the nitty gritty. We had the UFC Fight Night Saturday, May 18th. It was at the Blue Cross Arena in Rochester. First fight of the night was the Fight Pass, and that was Julio, I think it's Arce.
I believe it's Arce. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'll go with Julio Arce versus Julian Erosa. This is a fight that I missed. I didn't get to watch the undercard early prelim, but Julio Arce won by TKO in the 3rd round. Did you get a chance to check out highlights?
Yeah, it was a gritty back and forth fight. Both guys did all right. Not a high caliber fight, but it just Erosa was out of gas late. Both of them kind of were, but Erosa started throwing pretty lazy, and Arce came up with a big head kick late and knocked him out.
Oh, I love head kick
late
knockouts.
In the 3rd round, too, before the end of the fight.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, late in the 3rd round. That's nice. I love head kick knockouts. I mean, like, they're so brutal, and you're like, oh, no. But then it's just such an awesome laydown.
Oh, yeah. And it was a flush connection too, and he was out before he hit the mat.
Those are even good too when they hit the ground like timber.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, well, next up, we have Zach Cummings versus Trevin Giles. And in this fight, we got a 3rd round submission. So also, once again, another fight that goes almost the distance, only to end in a submission. Once again, I did miss this fight as well. So
You had called it right, though, in the preview.
Yes.
I had taken Trevin Giles in this fight. It was another gritty fight. Went to the 3rd round, and Cummins landed a counter left late, which hurt Giles pretty good and led right to a guillotine submission.
Wow.
End of the fight.
Oh, so he got the good hit that led into it.
Yeah, it was what led to the submission. Absolutely,
That's
a counter
awesome.
left hand off a nice exchange, but it was a good fight leading up to it.
Yep. And once again, another way I love when a guy taps out, because like for the fighter who won, like you made a guy say, I can't take no more.
And I like to see punishment from strikes to lead up to a submission as well, because it's an easy way to finish after you've hurt somebody.
And it's from a fan watching standpoint, it is more exciting than like a guy like Damian Maia who rushes to your body,
Absolutely.
drags you down, and then works towards a submission. Whereas where in this fight, Zach Cummings gets the contact to lead to the submission.
Right.
So it's a more exciting way.
You see, all aspects of the mixed martial arts there.
Exactly. And so in the fight, that's another thing I really liked about this event is only a few decisions. And no matter how great a fight is, you never want to leave it in the judges' hands. And judges get it right here and there, but judges get it wrong too.
Absolutely.
And it's easy to make. Because it's a judgment call. It's not based on an algorithm. It's based on someone watching the fight and deciding who won. So leaving it in the judge's decision, leaving the decision in the judge's hands is never a way that you want to end a fight.
Right, and both of these early fights could have been either way had they finished on the cards, and one little thing leads to them having a dominant victory instead.
There you go. All right, moving on to the next fight, we have Patrick Cummings versus Ed Herman. And this fight I did catch. Yes, I did see this fight, and it was a 1st round KO.
It was a quick one.
Did you?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I was saying before in the previews that I was a fan of Ed Herman.
Yes.
He's on the original Ultimate Fighter, and he looked good. His opponent there, Patrick Cummins, I had never seen him before. He came out looking like a 19th century boxer, kind of with the shaved head and the handlebar mustache.
Love the handlebar mustache.
I loved it. And but they exchanged early in a vicious knee from Ed Herman, and that was the end of Cummins'
That was the
night.
end of it, man.
Yeah. Nice win for Ed Herman.
Yeah, I like 1st round knockouts because it's very unexpected, but I always feel bad for the fighter who lost, and sometimes a little way for the fighter who won, because it's like, all this work, all this training for less than 5 minutes.
There's definitely a little bit of that. I've felt that, but then you come to your senses and realize that's the best way to win.
A winner,
you take the least amount of damage,
Yep.
and even maybe to your opponent, that's probably the least amount of damage too.
True. Just a quick knockout. You go through concussion protocol, and both fighters get to fight again sooner than later. More likely, the winner fights sooner. That's the one advantage I think for the winner, is that he's gonna get. If he's ready, he's going to get a fight sooner than later, and that's more money in his pocket.
Yeah, and getting knocked out by one strike, you're less likely to have a broken face.
Yeah.
In any area.
In any area, exactly. Yeah, and like we said, the concussion protocol right now in all sports that have contact is serious right now. You don't want to get the CTE and all that other stuff.
Right.
So, all right. So Ed Herman, he wins that fight with a KO in the 1st round, so we like that. And then the next fight of the night was Michael Trizano versus Grant Dawson, and this was a 2nd round submission. You called that one.
Yes.
And this was a good fight. Oh wait, my bad. No. Let's reverse that.
I don't know.
I called
no,
that
you picked
'cause
Grant
you like
Dawson
Mike.
there. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
Trezano there.
Yeah, you did. You went with Trezano. I took Grant Dawson, and I'm the one who you got the last one right. I got this one right. So,
It was a surprising victory.
Yes.
Grant Dawson controlled the grappling. Trezano was undefeated in 18
Yeah.
previous fights.
well, and the thing I will say
Across
about
all
Grant Dawson,
promotions.
only one loss.
Right,
So
overall.
yeah, it was an impressive. I think both fighters were relatively impressive during this fight. It managed to get into the second round. So
Absolutely. And I think it was just a good grappling exchange, both fighters, but Grant really did control it. Ended
Yeah.
up with a rear naked choke.
yeah, that was good. And the thing I say for Michael Trezano is, you're a 9-0 fighter. Now you're 9-1. That's gonna bring you down to earth and
Right.
realize, there's some things in your game you need to work on. And I think that will make him come back even stronger. And I look forward to seeing him fight because it wasn't a bad fight. He's obviously not a slouch.
Right.
Grant just got the better of him and worked that submission.
Yeah, Trezano's a guy who's been, fighting all his life, different styles of martial arts, different promotions, and it's just another thing in the road, and he'll come back stronger.
Exactly.
For sure.
So I like to see both these guys again. Grant Dawson did call out another guy who had an O on his name,
Yeah.
wanting to take that away. So we'll see what happens with his next fight. I don't believe he took too much damage, so maybe we'll see that fight sooner
No,
than later.
not too bad. I mean, little bust up, a little bit swelling,
Yeah.
nothing too serious. And I like this kid. I watched his post-fight interview a little bit, and he's real humble and down to earth. I like him.
And that's the best. I do like a guy who just cares about the fighting.
Yeah.
The drama sells the fights, like the Conor McGregors of the world who want, in some ways that's a smart business. It gets you
Absolutely.
more money for your fights if more people want to see you fight. But when it comes to the fighting aspect, you really just want guys to just get in the ring and duke it out.
Right.
All right, next on next in this lineup, we have Danny Roberts versus Michel Pereira. I believe in this fight you did say Michel Pereira, although retraction. We called him Michael last week.
Yes.
We will revise that.
apologize.
Yeah, his name is Michel Pereira.
Pereira, I believe you pronounce it.
Gets the first round KO in highlight reel fashion, and I know that you did some investigating on this one.
I believe it was, highlight of the night. It was an incredible, dominant performance. Mm-hmm. And,
A kind of a clinic.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think Danny Roberts couldn't establish a thing. He looked about half the size of Michel Pereira. I would actually like to highlight, what led to the win is technique of the week, actually.
Oh, all right.
And that was his beautiful jumping knee.
Okay.
His movement and his footwork and his striking is fantastic. He's very dynamic. We've seen him jumping off the cage, trying to throw Superman punches.
Wants to entertain the crowd.
He's in and out so quick, and he really caught Danny Roberts while he was trying to come straight with a right hand.
Mm-hmm.
So he had no idea he was setting up the knee, and it just came straight up. He didn't have to take a step to throw it. He just lifted off his feet, raised that knee up as high as he could, cracked it right off his temple.
Yep.
And then followed with a vicious right hand.
Vicious right hand. Knocked him out knocked him
Right.
clean out. He was asleep.
And my favorite part was that he didn't try to follow up on the ground, even though the ref hadn't gotten his way yet.
Yep.
He knew his opponent was done. It was very classic.
And I got nothing but respect for guys who do that. Like you see a lot of guys know the man that they put down is out, and you're a fighter and you know what it's like to be out like that, and yet you jump on them and you continue to add damage. Now I get it. You're supposed to fight until the ref breaks it up, but sometimes you can clearly tell a guy is asleep,
Right.
And you don't have to do that extra.
In a TKO situation where guys turtling up and not fighting back, absolutely keep the damage up until the referee stops you. But if you see a guy, completely out, locked
Yeah.
up, arms out, breathing
Eyes
heavy,
rolled. Yeah. You gotta give a little bit of breathing room to a guy like that, man, because he has a career too.
and a family,
Yeah.
maybe, and whatever.
So-
absolutely, he is a human being.
I respected that, and the thing that I like a lot about this guy is his journey to the UFC came from a highlight reel fight that he had in another promotion where, technically speaking, had he landed the move he went for, he would have been DQ'd. He tried to do a backflip, like two-legged stomp on a guy,
Right.
and happened to miss the target. But he's that type of fighter that wants to put on a show for the fans, but also wants to also cares about his technique to win. And that's really good for the sport. You know,
Right.
like, we want guys who fight technically, but, you know, people who are not true MMA fans, people who we need to build the sport, want to see exciting fights. And that's what this guy cares about, putting on
Absolutely.
an exciting fight.
And I like it, that's a great point about how technically is as well as being, you know, super highlight reel type of a fighter. And he wants to entertain.
Yeah. I mean, and you could see it, like he may be doing these crazy moves, but like he's doing them at opportune moments.
Absolute precision. The jumping knee was timed to perfection, and it was incredible.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing what, you know, this guy's next fight. I believe he probably has one more like lower level fight before he starts getting names.
He could climb through the welterweight rankings. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd like to see who he ends up with next.
And he's an enormous welterweight.
Yeah, very, very big.
Very big.
You know, he's kind of Tyrone Woodley big, maybe,
Right.
but taller.
But much taller. I
Yeah.
think.
So this guy could be extremely dangerous in this division, and I personally cannot wait to see more.
Yeah. KO of the night for me, for sure.
Oh, definitely. Definitely KO of the night. All right. Now we have Desmond Green versus Charles Air Jourdain.
Air Jourdain.
Air Jourdain. So this fight goes to a decision, 3-round bout. And this, to me, was a really good fight. I actually liked
Absolutely.
watching this fight. Desmond Green did exceptionally well in this fight. I felt like he dominated pretty much the majority of this fight.
Absolutely. 3-round, unanimous decision.
Yeah.
Well deserved. Nothing too flashy.
No.
But just real quality work from Desmond. He seemed much improved.
Correct.
His stand-up was nice and tight. Seemed like he was following the game plan and didn't want to stray from it.
Yeah.
And it was working, so he just kept racking up points.
Exactly. I saw the guy's last fight. I think he won by submission. He used his wrestling, and I really liked what I saw from him. I was excited to see this fight. I hadn't realized who he was at first, but once he got in the ring, the octagon, I did realize who he was. I was excited to watch this fight, and I personally feel like he didn't let me down. He didn't get the finish. But that just goes to show you that he wasn't fighting a slouch.
Right, absolutely.
Jourdain, Air Jourdain. I love
Right,
it.
Air Jourdain was game. He came to fight.
Yeah, he did come to fight. He was not going to give Desmond Green an easy victory, but Desmond Green put work in and got that finish. Well,
Absolutely.
got that decision.
Yeah.
So, and I also believe he didn't take a lot of damage, so he wants to
Right.
fight again as soon as possible. He wants to earn that paycheck. He's also the same guy who, for this fight, said he would fight for free just to fight in Rochester.
Right, absolutely.
And I'd like to
He
know what
wanted
I should have looked it up, what that paycheck was for him.
Yeah.
I bet you. I bet you it was in the single-digit thousands.
Yeah.
In the single-digit thousands.
That's all right.
So,
You get up there, Desmond. Don't
yeah,
worry.
exactly. Keep fighting the way you are,
Right.
and those paydays will come, and you'll get those big fights. But make sure you're ready for them. All right, now on to one of my favorite fights of the night. Aspen Ladd versus Sijara Eubanks. Now, even though I don't like decisions, I think that they put on an absolute show for the fans up until the very last bell. I really liked this fight, and it was really exciting. And like we said, it went to a decision. What'd you see?
It's a tough one to call. It was a gritty fight. Aspen Ladd was very surprising. I think she surprised Eubanks a lot with the wrestling ability. Mm-hmm. And I think you've seen Eubanks, really shocked at Aspen Ladd being able to take her down at will.
Yeah. And in times strong arming her.
Right.
She
Right.
was at times she was the stronger fighter.
I don't think I've seen much too impressive from either woman on the feet, striking wise. Eubanks is a gritty boxer, and
She did have a few combos.
She
but
landed
it
some
was,
good shots, but
yeah.
Aspen Ladd was going nowhere, and she was
Yeah.
game to exchange.
Yeah, she did. She exchanged right along with her, which was impressive. By
I don't
both,
think
but-
maybe a unanimous decision for Aspen Ladd might not really tell,
tale.
exactly the tale of the fight, because you could have, the second round was a little tight, and Eubanks definitely took the first round. So I don't know, it's a tough one, although
is a
they
tough
gave
one.
a unanimous one to Aspen Ladd.
Yeah, I felt like the unanimous decision was a little over the top.
I do believe she won though.
Yeah, I think that an argument can be made that she won. I did like Eubanks' last round. She stood toe to toe.
Right.
She was the aggressor, and she did land some nice combos. I think Aspen Ladd did her job too. In my opinion, I think you couldn't have. I don't think the judges could have been wrong if they had chosen either one.
Right.
But I will have to say, at the end of the day, it did seem to go a little bit more. I think what Aspen Ladd did in her winning rounds was more than what Eubanks did.
I think
in her
the top
winning rounds.
control on the ground
Yeah.
was big. The second round, almost finishing the submission with the rear naked choke.
Correct,
That was
yeah.
real close. So.
Yeah, she had that, and that also to me was impressive by Eubanks. That
escape
looked
that.
like it was over,
Yeah.
and she managed to get her way out of it. She broke that grip, and
Fundamental escape and dug her way out, just sticking with it. Like I said, tough, gritty fight. And the last second, I love it when they hear the last 10-second call out and they just stand there and swing.
and they go for it, man.
Yeah, 'cause anything can
it always
happen in that
surprises me.
exchange,
Yeah, it always surprises me when you have a fight that's going to go to a decision, and as both fighters, that this has been a back and forth brawl,
Yeah.
and you don't. In that last 10 seconds, you don't stand in front of each other and exchange.
when one fighter says, stand with me here, and the
Yeah.
other says, okay, let's do it. That's
One person I
exciting
love
as
who
it
does
gets.
that, and like it's almost, if it goes the distance, it's almost a guarantee he's gonna do it, is Max Holloway. Max Holloway loves to stand in the center of the octagon and just trade blows, and I think his confidence is just in his chin. He just knows that you're more than likely not gonna land that KO shot. I mean, he went 5 rounds with Conor McGregor.
or
who-
sometimes you just are confident that you'll get one first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that your strike will lay him down before theirs will lay you down. Either way,
Either way, it shows your heart because
Yeah.
you game to take one to the chin. so.
exactly. You're not worried about that. And I gotta say, like, I think I realized who Aspen Ladd was when she got into the octagon.
Yeah.
I didn't realize who she was before the fight. So there's so many fighters, we
Right.
don't always know who they are. But I did not know that she was undefeated going into this fight.
No, I didn't
And
either.
I did not know that her and Sijara Eubanks had fought previously,
Right.
and Aspen Ladd is now 2-0 against Sijara Eubanks. But I personally am looking forward to seeing both these ladies fight again.
Absolutely, and Aspen Ladd was another good character in the post-fight interview. Very humble and very nice, very sweet. She seemed like some girl from down the hall.
The girl next door?
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
With a little
And
quiet, soft voice.
You
and
could-
then
you could see that
and
in
then she'll
her.
choke your neck real quick.
I said no.
Yeah.
All right, so that was that fight. It was a very good fight. If you didn't watch it, check out some highlight reels or check it out on the app. Then next on the list, Davi Ramos versus Austin Hubbard. Another fight that goes to decision. Wow, I didn't even realize it. All 3 decisions were back to back.
Right.
So Davi Ramos takes the victory by decision, and for some reason, I don't remember this fight.
I would say this is the least fight of the night, but it was actually a dominant decision for Ramos, unanimous win.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the best Ramos I've seen, which was kind of strange. So Austin Hubert really wasn't there, if he was getting handled by Ramos. But there was nothing that he had for him. It wasn't really nothing. Honestly, overall.
Just the weak
mean,
fight of the night.
It really was. I hate
fight
to
of
say
the
that
night.
about any fight, but maybe this could have been switched with any one of them preliminary fights, to tell you the truth.
What's weird to me is I think I said this to you the night of the fight, that Sajara Eubanks and Aspen Ladd were actually in the main card and
Right.
dropped to the main event of the preliminaries. And I definitely think that the quality of these two fighters should have put them into this card. And
Yeah.
definitely with the Ramos Hubbard fight being lackluster,
Right.
maybe that's why I don't remember it. It's because it was lackluster. Maybe they should have been into the
But yeah,
bottom.
decision win for Ramos, but again, not the best. Not the best Ramos we've seen.
Well, there you have it. All right, now one of the better fights of the night with one of my favorite fighters, Charles Oliveira versus Nick Lentz with a second round KO. And for those of you who don't know, it's been quite some time since Charles Oliveira has seen a KO. Most of his wins come by submission or decision. So for him to get a KO was a pretty big victory, and it was a very nice knockout.
Yep, second round, right hand, floored him. They had fought before, and Nick Lentz lost by submission in the first fight, and had no answer for him in the second one either.
Yeah. And once again, it ends in the second round. Charles Oliveira didn't take a lot of damage, so maybe we'll get to see him fight again soon, especially with a victory. I can't say enough. I really like this kid. He seems like a very humble fighter. He kind of not stylistically, but the reason I like him is the same reason why I like a fighter like Max Holloway, is because they come to fight and they give it their all. And
Very game.
Yeah.
Very game. Stays in the pocket. Great Muay Thai fighter, so he's a favorite of mine for sure. I think we both picked him to win this fight.
Correct, we did.
And one thing that he does well, that he did in both fights, is hits you with good knees using the Thai plum, but in a mixed martial arts scenario. Like in a Thai fight, you try to clinch the neck and pull down for vicious knees, but in an MMA fight, it puts you in a lot of risk to get taken down. You can easily attack the body to get out of it. So he uses it like at the end of a punch combination and throws one knee and then lets you go and backs out. And he did the same thing to Nick Lentz in two fights. Pounded him with those knees on every punch exchange. And the first time it led to a submission, and the second time it led to a knockout.
To a nice knockout too. It was a very pretty highlight reel knockout. So definitely check out this fight on YouTube if you get a chance. All right, and then the next fight we have Vincent Luque versus Derek Krantz, and this was the fight that Derek Krantz had to step into, I believe. The previous fighter was injured or whatever.
Or no, Neil Magny had to forfeit. He had to step down because of positive test.
Positive drug test.
With the USADA.
Yep. And Derek Krantz steps in to get knocked out in the first round, which I don't hold it against the guy who takes a late fight.
No, he was a game fighter. We were saying he had 22 wins with 20 stoppages, so I mean, we were kind of excited to see what was going to happen. It was his UFC debut, although he's a veteran of 30 MMA fights.
Okay.
And they were both coming off like a 4-win streak.
Yes, right.
And,
4-win streaks for both guys. I remember
knew it was going to be some fireworks, and we got an early knockout after about a minute or so. I mean, so quick left hand.
It was very fast knockout. So I mean, at the end of the day, we love to see that. We like to see those knockouts. You don't see them coming and then boom, guys just laid out, put to sleep. It's a beautiful thing.
Although Krantz didn't. It didn't seem like he was in the best of shape. He didn't have so much time to get in shape.
Yeah. I always respect the guys who will take a last-minute fight. You only get a week or two of training.
Right.
I know you. I think you have more respect for him now, but I know you don't necessarily care for him. But I think one of the best was Nate Diaz against Conor McGregor.
I like that because, Nate is a guy who keeps himself in shape all year round, whether he's training for a fight or not.
In marathons, him and his brothers do like decathlons and stuff like that. So they got gas in the tank, but they're also just like, they're guys who are down to fight.
Right. Greedy fighters.
They grew up, having to fight, so they're not afraid of nobody. They'll take a fight anytime. And to come in against a guy whose name is so big, who was just banging out dudes left and right, and to get Get your ass handed to you in the first round.
And never forget that he hurt him with that punch and then choked Conor McGregor
You know what's funny?
and tapped him
Is I'm gonna
easily.
say he didn't choke Conor McGregor because Conor McGregor was like, as soon as you lock it
your arm
in,
is there.
he held
done.
his hand up. He was like, go ahead, lock
There
it
it
in,
is.
lock it in. All right, I'm out.
Yeah.
He didn't get to choke him. He just got to lock it into position. I always found that to be hilarious, and I think he did the same thing against Khabib.
Kinda.
He knew he was getting put in the submission.
This is it.
And it's like, that's like I want to say like, in essence, the least dangerous submission, you're not going to break a bone. So, like, to not even want to take the struggle of, like, choking and just tap. Holly Holmes is, like, a perfect example.
Right.
Like, she got choked out to the point where she threw 2 punches
she
before
refused.
she fell asleep. Yeah, she didn't want to give it up, and Conor McGregor gave it up super fast.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Vicente
Luque, yeah.
Vicente Luque gets first round KO against Derek Krantz, which is going to earn him a higher level fight in the future. So we'll
Absolutely.
be seeing him sooner than later.
5 finishes in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 submission, 4 KOs.
That's crazy. You got to give a guy like that
It's got to be on the
fights.
fast track to, I don't know, at least a #1 contenders match, maybe.
Maybe.
You
He's got to be getting something for this.
he's got to get a big fight for this.
So we'll see
think.
what happens with that guy.
Yeah.
All right, on to another fight that I guess maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but I think I was surprised because I knew more about the loser than the winner.
Right.
But Megan Anderson versus Felicia Spencer. First round submission goes to Felicia Spencer. And I was absolutely shocked by this fight.
I agree. Well, I mean, maybe not shocked. Like you said, I didn't know Spencer as much, but I seen her skill set, and I thought, the key for her in this fight was to go right to the ground, and she didn't waste any time.
No time at all. And she made quick work of that.
She absolutely did.
Real quick work, and took the back and got the rear naked choke. And it was like Megan Anderson had no answer.
I knew she was overmatched on the ground, Megan Anderson, but I thought she would establish some kind of range. Maybe she's a fantastic
tall,
striker.
long legs.
And she uses that fantastic height, in range, but couldn't establish anything. Got choked in a minute and a half.
Yeah, it was so fast.
Right to the ground, right out. That was it.
So, I mean, I look forward to seeing more fights from both these ladies.
Absolutely.
Megan Anderson obviously needs to work on her takedown defense and submission defense.
Absolutely.
Felicia Spencer, I don't know if there's anything she needs to work on as of right now.
I mean, it's featherweight division for the women, so it's good to see,
And it's not a very
any fight,
deep division either.
right?
Yeah.
So it's good to see any fight and good to see any, skill. So I just
Felicia might have only 2 fights to get to that
right.
belt.
I mean, I don't know who's next for her, but it's good to see a good fight in that division.
Who is next? I mean, I don't know what happened to Nico Montana because she was the champ and got her
Right.
belt stripped. Now you have the champ. Who did she face for the belt? It was Joanna Jędrzejczyk, right, for the belt?
In the featherweight?
Yeah, didn't Joanna Jędrzejczyk did she lose to No.
I thought the featherweight was
Shevchenko.
one.
Yeah, I know, but I
45,
think Joanna
right?
went up in weight class for that one fight.
Really, that heavy?
I think so. It was because it's only 10 pounds.
Right.
I want to look that up while we talk. So, I look forward to seeing Megan Anderson and Felicia again. But first round submission is pretty impressive. The next fight is Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Ian Heinisch.
Heinisch, I want to say.
Heinisch. We'll say Heinisch.
Yeah.
And this fight, and I forgot about this. We actually have 4. This fight does go to decision. I was actually surprised at how much better Ian was over Carlos Jr. What'd you think?
I think Antonio Carlos Jr. came out early, wanted to control him on the ground and did early, especially in the first round. He had Ian Heinisch in some real trouble. But the second 2 rounds after that was all Heinisch.
Yeah.
It was like a whole new game plan.
Yeah, Carlos seemed very desperate at his takedown attempts.
After the first round at least, and he pretty much stole the unanimous decision out of it. It looked bad for him early on, to tell you the truth.
Yeah,
but
it was not.
he completely turned it around for the comeback win.
Yeah, it was. I was exceptionally impressed. Once again, another fighter. When we were talking about him last week, I had forgotten who he was, and as soon as I saw him doing his walk down, I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be crazy. I'm in my mind, it's absolutely going to be Antonio Carlos Jr. for the victory, because he just has that crazy submission game, and then and it's like you said, it started off looking like it was going to be in his favor, but I think his gas tank just wasn't full enough.
His body style is a little strange at middleweight.
Yeah,
you know, he's a very tall fighter, so you know that makes it hard for you to cut to a certain amount of weight. But he looks thin for a middleweight fighter compared to Heinisch, who looks like a very muscled fighter at 185. But I think that strength wears on you when you're fighting a guy that's bigger and stronger like that. But it doesn't. Perhaps Carlos Jr. can't make the cut to welterweight because of his height.
Yeah, because of his height.
So that might sit him in a weird spot, in between weight classes there, because it doesn't look like he cuts much weight at all to fight middleweight, whereas Heinisch could be a 200-pounder easy, And I think the strength really told in the end,
So I once again, two fighters. I mean, I didn't really know anything about Ian before he came into this fight, but I look forward to seeing fights from both these fighters. But more so now, Ian, knowing that he was able to take down such a high-level submission technician like Carlos Jr.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see him get up against some high-level wrestlers or jiu-jitsu guys.
And another weight class that, we need up-and-coming fighters in.
Yeah.
And, absolutely, like you said, to be able to, I think that's exactly what he did. He controlled the early storm, and I think he earned confidence himself in that first round. And that's what,
I might even like to see him go up against a heavy hitter like Kevin Gastelum.
That would be nice.
I think he beating Antonio Carlos Jr.
He is a strong fighter.
Yeah, in a co-main event, that's got to earn you a high-level fight. So, I mean, I think Kevin Gastelum's like that guy. If you can't beat me, you don't get a shot at the belt.
I think at the end of the fight, it was, Antonio Carlos Jr. trying to just hang on and trying to weather the storm.
Yeah.
So
I did look it up, and the women's flyweight decision was flyweight.
All right, because that was a featherweight fight, I believe, with Megan Anderson and Felicia Spencer.
Oh, so
at
that's
145 pounds.
Oh,
that's the biggest class now, isn't it?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is the biggest class. And that's the division?
And that makes sense because Megan Anderson is
a big person.
A big woman.
Maybe I just didn't realize how big they were. Yeah. So that's even less
with her
less
height,
competition.
I mean, she's got to be 6'1".
Yeah. So now you're looking at only maybe like 5 fighters.
Right. Total.
Yeah, total. Because it's Holly Holmes if she decides to go back up.
Right.
You have the champ Amanda Nunes, and you have Chris Cyborg, and then there's that girl who was afraid to fight Chris Cyborg.
Right.
And we don't remember her name because she's afraid to fight. So.
Right, she's afraid to fight.
So, but I'd like to see both these fighters maybe move up. I mean, they ain't got no choice but to go high up.
Right.
I think it's got to be the Holly Holmes or Chris Cyborg. So we'll see what happens.
Spencer's down to fight. So
yeah. All right. Now we go to, in my opinion, the biggest surprise of the night. Rafael Dos Anjos versus Kevin Lee in a 4th round submission, and the winner of this fight is Rafael Dos Anjos. And I don't know about you, but not only was I surprised, but exceptionally impressed with Rafael Dos Anjos' performance.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
I got to apologize to both fighters. I had called this to be a lackluster main event, and they made me put my foot in my mouth with that.
Absolutely, because it was not.
The pace was great from the get-go. Kevin Lee came out hard. He was throwing everything with crazy intent. Neither guy's striking impressed me overall greatly, but
I don't think
I
either
think
one of these guys are known for their high-level striking.
Kevin
right?
Lee, looked much improved with his kicks. Was landing a lot of shots early to the body that were powerful too.
Yeah.
And
They hit. They
was-
absolutely hit.
Was throwing them with ill intent, and Dos Anjos replied with the same kind of attack, but I think Kevin Lee gassed himself with that early pace.
Yeah.
And I
I
don't know
was
how much
impressed.
of it was putting on all that muscle moving up to welterweight, but I don't know.
I don't know that I think Kevin Lee should give up on the welterweight. I think he should continue to strive and get better in that weight, because I do agree. I think he just put too much in too fast and gassed himself out, because I think both fighters the entire time were going back and forth pretty equivalently. I think, it would have been, I think Rafael Dos Anjos would have easily won the decision, but I think the judges would have had their hands full coming to that conclusion, because this, for two guys, I said it last week, like, these are two guys that, like, two fighters I don't generally care for, but I definitely gained a lot of respect for both fighters, and more so for Rafael Dos Anjos, who I believed was on his way out.
Absolutely.
I thought he was going to Bellator.
Coming off of 2 losses.
Yeah.
I didn't think it looked great for him, but interesting fact I heard during the fight was that he's ranked number 3 in the welterweight division.
Wow.
Which
That's a huge surprise.
seemed strange, but
I don't even understand how that's possible.
I don't know.
Because, you got to say Tyrone Woodley's number 1. And then after that, it's got to be, it's supposed to be Wonderboy, but I know he gets knocked down because he gets beat by Mastival.
Right, and Anjos is coming off 2 losses, so
Yeah,
I don't.
so maybe they just lose a lot in the welterweight
know.
division.
But I was very impressed with Dos Anjos' wrestling and his takedown defense ability. Lee, I thought, was the better wrestler coming in, but Dos Anjos out-grappled him in every position.
Especially after what happened against Eddie Alvarez.
Right, absolutely. And I think that maybe, Dos Anjos took that back to the drawing board to increase his game because he looks so much better. Not just where, he's got high-level jiu-jitsu, we knew that. So you expect some, drag down, takedowns, and trips and things of that nature. But there was a few times where he double-legged Kevin Lee as good as, any American wrestler would ever do.
I could not believe what I was seeing happen and what I saw coming from Rafael Dos Anjos. It was like a comeback fight for this dude. Kevin Lee is no slouch, man. You're not gonna run over Kevin Lee, and he has some very good victories. And I think the only reason why he went to welterweight was because he wasn't a match for the top 2 guys in that division. So he says, I'll go up a weight class, I'll be faster and maybe better than most of those guys, and maybe have a shot.
And he was absolutely having a hard time cutting the weight down to lightweight, I believe. And he's had some great grappling victories over great top competitors. But Dos Anjos was able to stifle that every time. Kevin Lee got his back over and over, and Dos Anjos was able to reverse and get out of it. It was just really impressive.
Yeah.
Great grappling battle the whole time.
I couldn't ask for anything more from these two fighters.
Fantastic main event.
Yeah, it was for a fight card that I believed, same as you, was not going to be this great fight, especially not the main event. And I think across the board, with an exception for maybe 1 or 2 fights, this was a fight night to remember. A lot of good fights going on, and the main event did not disappoint at all. I look forward to seeing both these fighters. I don't know about you. I think maybe we could both make a pick. Rafael Dos Anjos' next fight, and just because he's my favorite fighter in the division, I'm going to say Jorge Masvidal.
That would be a fantastic fight to see. I think Masvidal takes him on the feet, and really takes it to him, because he's an exceptional striker. And as I said, Dos Anjos, he looked good. There was a couple combinations that he landed on Lee, but I feel like it was more Lee getting gassed. And the finish, even with the submission, I feel was more Kevin Lee being gassed. He attempted that last takedown, and when it failed, he kind of just laid there, on his knees. So and then he gave up his back and tried to turn from there, and just once his arm was caught in, he just said, "Okay, I'm done."
Yeah,
you
I'm
know?
done. Yep. I
But
agree.
I don't think he gets through Masvidal's striking too easily. That would be quite the fight.
I think that would be an exceptional fight, especially if Rafael dos Anjos can get in and get him to the ground. I'd like to see what Jorge Masvidal does against something like that. I think that would be a hell of a fight night main event to see.
Dos Anjos is showing high level grappling.
Yeah.
Now. High level.
On a different level than we've ever seen him.
Yeah.
At a higher weight too. So I mean, it's
Right.
not like it's easier to bring these guys down.
And he looked in fantastic shape.
Yep.
They pushed the pace the whole time, and Kevin Lee was wearing down, but Dos Anjos wasn't.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a resurgence of Rafael dos Anjos, and I look forward to seeing more. And you heard it here first. Maybe we get to see him face Masvidal, because Masvidal gets the big comeback victory against Stephen Wonderboy with a huge knockout. So that brings him high up in the rankings. And if Rafael dos Anjos is number 3, that puts him. If that fight puts them in line for a number 1 contendership.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to see what happens with that. Now we are going to spend some time talking about a fight not MMA related, but still combat sports. We had a great heavyweight bout, championship bout, between the fan favorite Deontay Wilder versus Dominic Breazeale. And this fight had a lot of animosity building up, a lot of trash talking back and forth. And then they met up in Barclays Center in Brooklyn. And what did we see?
Quick knockout, which it's vintage Deontay Wilder, really.
Yeah.
I mean, after the Tyson Fury fight, he was real happy he wanted to really put a statement on this,
Correct.
And boy, did he put a hammering on him with that right hand. Once he's got anybody hurt just a little bit, then it's
over with. He smells blood in the water.
Pistons pumping, and just firing shots.
What I find it funny that he said, and he might not be the first person to have said this, but he's the first person I've read to have said it, is that this is the only sport where you can legally kill a man.
Right.
And he was like, so if you can get away with it legally, why wouldn't you? Yeah. And I'm like, bro, this is a sport at the end of the day. You want to take on a picture, you talking about killing a dude?
I mean, he comes from a tough background.
Yeah.
He's a gritty heavyweight champion.
Yes.
Like you said, a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Southern boy. He doesn't play.
And he puts on a show. That's the one thing I got to give this guy, man. Like, when you watch his fight, you're in for some entertainment, no matter how fast it ends or how long it lasts. But I mean, what's the guy he just faced before?
Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury is like the only guy. I feel like he's the only guy who gave this guy the distance.
And it's only because Tyson Fury is a super technical boxer.
Yeah.
Not a hard puncher. He's not a guy who puts people away, but super technical. And I mean, Deontay is not that.
Technical.
He's not that. And also Tyson Fury barely survived that knockdown.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody's still kind of astonished that he stood up like that.
Yeah.
I think we all thought he was asleep.
Well, we know Dominic Breazeale was not ready to stand up.
No,
did not make the count.
He could not, and then almost fell over again. So,
it was. I watched
a devastating right hand that he laid on him.
It was. I watched the highlight. Well, not the highlight. The whole fight is the highlight because
pretty much.
It's a 2-minute and 14-second fight, and it was just so impressive because, like you said, he hurt him, knocks him into the corner. They get a little exchange. Dominic hits him, backs him up.
He did throw back.
Yeah, he threw back and he got him. Not good enough, but he did get him enough to move him back. And then he just comes in and lays the right hand.
It is hard to hurt Deontay Wilder too, which I think leads to a lot of his knockouts.
Yeah.
And I think he said in the post-fight that the fight with Anthony Joshua will happen. So I mean, I think that's what everybody wants.
And
to
you said I know you told me something about the context of that fight. About them fighting Breazeale, both fighting Breazeale.
Right. Anthony Joshua, I think last year, I think it might have been 2 or 3 fights ago for Anthony Joshua. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
But he had a dominant fight against Brazil as well. But Brazil was actually able to use his length, and he kept him off for a good 4 or 5 rounds actually before he was able to finish him. And Anthony Joshua himself had said pre-Deontay Wilder Brazil that he hoped Deontay didn't finish him sooner than he did, because then people were going to be talking about it. And you were right, because now
we are talking about it. You know, I think we both know this when it comes to combat sports. No fight matters versus the next fight, because you know, it only takes the one, and we've seen that. We just saw it takes one punch to knock a person out. It just has to land the right way. I'm looking forward to getting to see this next fight for Deontay Wilder, and it's got to be not long away, because when you don't really take any damage, it's got to be time for the next fight.
And I don't see how many opponents they could feed to either Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder before they have to put them together. I mean,
it's got to be the next fight for both of them.
I definitely miss, you know, classic boxing. Like, I'm a fan of the very classic boxing, like 50s and 60s and 70s, and maybe even 90s, you know, 80s and 90s, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield. You know, that's the last time we really had good heavyweight champions. But this is I think we're getting a resurgence. You know, we don't have ultra skilled boxers. Anthony Joshua has got great footwork, good punching power as well, just like Deontay Wilder. But they haven't had to beat, you know, other fantastic fighters to keep their belts.
They haven't been put in that much danger.
Right. When you see, you know, Deontay fight another top-tier elite fighter, they fought to the draw, him and Tyson Fury. Yeah. So, you know, there was no dominance there on either side. So,
and some people even say that Tyson got robbed on that decision.
Really
I don't know. I don't know either way. I didn't watch that fight, so I can't speak to either direction.
Right. It's hard to judge, you know, with punch count and effective strikes. Like I said, Tyson Fury, he's a volume striker. Doesn't really hurt you, you know, but he did almost get put to sleep.
So there you go.
But I think there's only so long before you make these two big dogs fight each other and give us, you know, something really good to talk about in the boxing world.
All right. Well, I do have a tidbit of accolade information for our very own Deontay Wilder. This is his 9th consecutive title defense. That ties him with Muhammad Ali in his first run, Joe Frazier and Mike Tyson in their first run, Lennox Lewis during his second reign. So those are the people he ties. Now he's got some records to chase. Some would almost seem improbable, others closer by. Starting from the easiest to obtain, he can now tie Muhammad Ali's second run with 10 straight consecutive title defenses. With 2 more, he can meet up with Tommy Burns, who has 11. Then he can also tie up Vitaly Klitschko, thank you. Vitaly Klitschko has 11 during his second run, and I don't know if these two guys are related, but Vladimir Klitschko?
Yeah, this is the Klitschko brothers.
They're the Klitschko brothers, okay.
Absolutely.
So during his second run, Vladimir Klitschko has 18 fight win streak, or 18 consecutive title defenses. And then the 2 that seem a little bit less likely, but is always possible with a guy like Deontay Wilder. Larry Holmes has 20 consecutive title defenses. And then the champ of all champs, Joe Louis, with 25 consecutive title defenses. That seems like a very hard to obtain collection of title defenses. But in the heavyweight division, we all know that Mayweather probably has close to that. But.
Right. I mean, when you're talking heavyweights, though, you know, you're talking that big power. So it's a lot harder to get to somewhere like, 50 victories with no losses. But Deontay could still get there. He's only got the draw, so he doesn't technically have a loss.
Yeah.
So
he has a draw?
Yeah, against Tyson Fury.
Oh, that fight
that's
ended
what
in
they
a
called
draw?
it.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's why he kept his belt.
Yeah,
you know?
okay.
But
actually, now I think I do remember that.
But But yeah, I would like to see him make a run towards my favorite old-time boxer, Massachusetts' own Rocky Marciano, who finished his career with 49 victories and 0 losses, but with 43 knockouts, which is devastating.
That's pretty.
And we got, I believe Deontay might be at 40 fights now.
Yeah.
With 38 knockouts or 39 knockouts. So,
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
So he's coming up on it because I know that Mayweather has exceeded that record.
Right.
He has 51 wins, no losses. But I know
Nowhere
that his
close on the knockout
Nowhere
range.
close on the knockout because we all know Mayweather. He's not a finisher. He's a decision winner.
That's why I wanted to put Rocky's numbers up
Yeah,
there because
man.
he always talks about beating Marciano's overall undefeated record,
Yeah.
but nowhere close to 43 finishes.
Maybe half.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No,
but
not even close. I
yeah.
don't think. I think it's like 18 or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that would not surprise me
I
at
don't
all.
want to sell him short.
Because I think
you know?
I think most of his knockouts came early in his career.
Right.
He has that one what you call the questionable knockout,
The one the Garcia dirty.
the dirty knockout.
Well, the protect yourself at all times.
Yeah, the
you
protect
moron.
yourself at all times knockout. You know what? To be honest with you, that was always my opinion on that. You know, first off, the whole reason why they were in that position was because the dude had intentionally headbutted
Right.
Mayweather, jumping into his head, and then they separate
My
him.
only thing is, you know, they call it square up for a reason. You put your hands up, you wait for the other man to put his up too before you throw.
As a respect to in respect of fighters,
That's how I was taught.
I agree with you. You know, you're being reset. Let both fighters get in their position.
Square up.
But I also believe as a fighter, you got to be
Protect
ready.
yourself at all times, for
because
sure.
not everybody fights clean.
Not everybody
you know?
will be clean.
Yeah, not everybody fights with respect and honor. So you need to be ready for that. And you did just pull off a disrespectful, dirty move, and it got returned to you. If this was a normal circumstance where it was maybe like a hugging situation, they got separated, or something happened and they did that, I would have had less respect for Mayweather.
Right.
Whereas he just gave him dirt back.
Right.
It didn't really hurt my opinion of him too much.
But shout out to Deontay Wilder on the knockout.
Yeah,
And,
man. Keep the run
keep
going.
going.
It's exciting.
And I want
to
to see you
him.
beat Joshua, honestly, man. America versus Britain.
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
Absolutely.
I look forward to that. One last time, just a friendly reminder: the Quest for 50, which is going to be at the Worcester Palladium. Doors open at 6. Fights start at 7. It's Friday, June 14th, and we have our very own Curly TNT. I said Curly. Kyrie, my bad. I apologize for the name mistake. Kyrie TNT Todd.
Kyrie Todd,
Lenzone fighting in the co-main event. And he's going up against Ray Oliveira Jr. So this should be an exciting fight. And I look forward to seeing the highlights. I won't be able to make that fight, but I hope some of you who watch the show get a chance to make it. If you don't have anything else,
That's it.
I think we're gonna call it quits for today. But we have a fight coming up in 2 weeks. Next week we will get into the bouts. What's gonna happen? We're gonna dig deep into it and give you any updates that come further from that point on. But until then, I'm Craig.
And I'm Mike.
And this is Tail of the Tape. Make sure you check out the rest of our shows. You have my show where I'm solo, The Flex, where I talk about fantasy football. And then you have my other show with my homeboy AC, where we talk about straight football. And we do have more shows to come. Check us out on our YouTube channel, and that's at Gymbag, one word, Gymbag Entertainment, where you can check out all of our content anytime you want. Like, share, and subscribe. Please show your support. We're trying to make this as big as we can, and we can only do that with your help. So until then, we'll see you next week.
See you.